Taverns and inns are incredibly important for any fantasy world. It allows adventurers traveling through lands both peaceful and dangerous to take a moment to rest and eat some food before heading back out on their adventures. Throughout the world, we can find a variety of these different establishments, and in this video, we are going to go over my personal favorites in all of Guild Wars 2. I am counting both taverns and inns in this video. While they are technically different, they are pretty similar. I will not be counting places that have just a bar. That will be for another video. We are talking about large buildings that can hold many people drinking, eating, celebrating, partying, resting, sleeping, and any combination of these. So let's get started. In the number 10 spot, we have the Arborstone Inn. This location was added with the End of Dragons expansion and is located in the player hub of Arborstone. Arborstone has a ton of cool locations, secrets, and activities hidden around it. But one restful spot is this inn. Located near the portal to Lion's Arch that appears after you upgrade Arborstone, you have this nice little area. You got a front desk, a bunch of people around, a cat, and a ton of doors that lead to different rooms that you could theoretically rent out. Now the unfortunate part about this place that puts it only in the number 10 spot is how you can't explore most of the rooms like you can at other inns. However, there are a ton of doors that would lead to rooms, and the imaginative side of me feels super immersed in this area. Now another cool part of this inn is how it introduced the resting mechanic to the game, where you can AFK or log out in this inn and accumulate a rested bonus after 4 hours, which will grant you bonus experience as you play with it. I really like the theme of this buff, even if it is not super popular or well known in the community. Additionally, there is an area that is kind of connected to the inn, but is its own location called the Roost, which is basically the mess hall in Arborstone, where people in Arborstone and at the inn can come over here for food and to chat with other people. Coming in at number 9 is Kevach's Homestead. There are a ton of taverns that we can find throughout the Shiver Peaks, as most Norn buildings are taverns, but this one is my personal favorite out of all of them. This bridge is located in the northeastern corner of the Wayfarer Foothills, pretty close to the mountain pass that leads into Ascalon. The area around here is pretty cool, with a task and event chain that really focuses on helping out the lodge here, which includes going into the cave to gather worm eggs and also catching kegs to bring them to the lodge. As you step inside, the lodge itself is beautiful. You have lots of tables set up with a variety of different chairs. You got some beds in one end for people to sleep in. There are 2 large fires, one is a fireplace and another is a fire pit with what looks like a pig spinning in it. You got a lot of torches, a lot of kegs, a man who will tell you a ton of different stories, and a bunch of other cool things. This location just has a great atmosphere and feels like a phenomenal tavern to step outside of the cold and into a warm environment with good food and good friends. In the number 8 spot, we have the Three Legions Court. Located in the village of Homestead, this inn provides a great spot for nearby chars serving in the legions to get a drink or sleep. This building is designed like other Iron Legion buildings, where it is very metallic and fits in with the rest of Homestead and the Black Citadel. There are multiple floors to this building with a ramp leading up to the first floor, where you can find the bar. This is a cool spot where there's actually a fun event where you have to prevent a bar fight between members of the Ash, Iron, and Blood Legions. Heading upstairs a little bit, there's a middle floor / balcony area that a few different char are hanging out at, and then you can head up to the top floor. Here you got some beds, including a bunk bed designed in the char style, some tables, chairs, bookshelves, all the fancy decorations you would want. There are also a couple of fun NPCs you can talk to, which livens this place up a bit. Overall, this entire building really just has a really cool char aesthetic and a pretty cool environment. Coming in at number 7, we have the Ossan Quarter Inn. This is a large tavern located in the Ossan Quarter, the Elonian Quarter, and Divinity's Reach. All of the buildings around here are designed in an Elonian style, just like the inn here, and this building is actually huge. There are so many details here. As you walk into the front door, you enter into the main tavern area. There are a bunch of different tables and chairs you can sit in. In the center of the room is the bar, and behind it is the kitchen. And may I say, this room just looks super cool with all the different decorations and the plants and whatnot. As you head further back into the inn, you can head downstairs and upstairs. If you decide to go downstairs, you enter the storage area of this establishment, where there are a bunch of kegs, crates, barrels, and other stuff that stores everything the inn would need to serve its customers. If you decide to go upstairs, you can find 3 different floors of rooms that are filled with a ton of details with different beds and other decorations. There are also some nice alcoves, balconies, a fireplace, and a ton of other fun decorations all around this building. Overall, this is just an incredibly immersive inn, and it's definitely a place I would want to stay at. In the number 6 spot, we have the Shaemoor Inn. This is actually a pretty important location, as it is the first place that any human character heads to when they first create their character, where they load into Shaemoor in the tutorial mission, and after talking to the first NPC, you're directed to report in at the inn, and the inn itself is pretty cool. Straight away, this inn is super cool because there's a sign in front of the inn that is written in New Crichton, which you can translate it to read about the daily specials that are being served at the bar inside. And then when you head into the inn, there's a ton of stuff. Just like the Ossan Quarter, there are a ton of details in here. You have the main bar you can get food and drinks from. There are a ton of tables scattered throughout, including a fun area that has steps down and another area you need to step up to. You got a super cozy fireplace and a ton of other decorations. You also have some doors that lead to other parts of the inn. Unlike a bunch of other inns in Korakatt, you actually can't explore too much of the various areas outside of the main room, but that is because this is actually a pretty unique model of a building, where there's another type of inn we will talk about later that is the main type of inn you can find throughout human territories. But this type is much less common. I also love the area outside of the inn. I mean, Shaemoor itself is pretty cool with Divinity's Reach looking down on it, but you also got these two bridges that I highlighted in my top 10 bridges video, this awesome creek, and all the other stuff around here. Coming in at number 5 is the Red Duck Tea House. We return to Cantha for this one and head to the second zone of the Ender Dragons expansion, New Kyning City. This is another spot that is kind of important in the story of Guild Wars 2 as you interact with this location a few different times. But of course, like everything else on this list, this spot is pretty cool. It is a very open area where there are some seats inside of the establishment, but there are also a ton of seats outside for people to choose to sit at. The building goes up pretty far where you can sit on the higher levels, which are basically giant balconies that look over the courtyard down below. The aesthetics of this place is pretty cool and I love all the details. The holographic-ish umbrellas are a nice touch given that Kyning's environment has a ton of futuristic holographic city-like stuff spread throughout it. The kitchen is super cool because it's like a modern kitchen with a touch of that Kyning technology, where you got a lot of fridges, stoves, and a range that is hovering over the stoves. This tavern is just super cool and I love all the unique details that is present here, which we don't see in other places on this list. In the number 4 spot, we have the Ebonhawke Inn. This is a huge inn located near the postern gate in the city of Ebonhawke, the last major fortress of humanity in Ascalon. When you step inside, the inn is just amazing. Out front, we have the same sign prop as we found in the Shaemoor Inn, but as you head inside, you have the main bar with a bunch of different tables and chairs around. You have the first book in a scavenger hunt that takes you all around Ebonhawke, and you also have a bunch of other fun decorations. You then also have a room that has a ton of booths that you could theoretically sit in to eat and chat with friends. Then you can head upstairs, and there is a lot of stuff up here. There are many different halls with winding rooms, chairs, tables, beds, fireplaces, and everything else you would want in an inn. You can find a ton more books you can read, and you can eventually make your way up to the top floor where there's a fun private party area where there are some co-workers celebrating the success of their company. Overall, this entire building is super cool and has a ton of fun details. But I like how it is located in Ebonhawke, which is a location that has long known conflict and has been under siege many times, where this inn may have provided a bit of respite for the citizens and soldiers in Ebonhawke and a distraction from what was going on outside. In the number 3 spot is Starbower Nursery. This is a Safari Inn located in the Grove, and a lot of players may recognize it from the iconic peppermint candy entrance to the building. And as we explore this entire area, there's a lot of fun stuff we can find. Just like other inns, there are obviously a bunch of tables and chairs for the local Safarian visitors to rest at. You have the main bar where you can actually buy autumn nectar and melon juice, which is very fitting for it being a Safari bar. On the top floor, there are some more tables and chairs with some Safari dancing and other Safari talking, and then you can head into this flower entrance to find some more areas. Where the tunnel itself that you are walking through is absolutely beautiful with all the lights, but partway through is that little balcony area which is one of my favorite locations in all the Grove. I mean, the view from here is beautiful. But as we head further up the tunnel, you open up into a large room that has a ton of Safari and other people chatting. There are a ton of super cool looking Safari beds and of course some more tables and chairs. The room itself is beautiful and I love all the details that have been put into this area. It also opens up to a second entrance of the building that is located on the top floor of the Grove. People who watch my videos know how much I love the Safari and their architecture and whatnot, and this building is definitely one of my favorites. Coming in at number 2 is the Amnoon Tavern. Located in the free city of Amnoon, this area is honestly one of my favorite locations in the entire Path of Fire expansion. Amnoon as a whole is definitely one of my favorite spots in the entire game. I love how the city here feels like a large city, but is put into the open world. It was definitely a good hub for the Path of Fire expansion. And like in any other city, you gotta have a tavern. Located just north of the Amnoon Emporium, you have a large area with many of the residents hanging out in. You got a giant kitchen, which actually features one of the first mastery points that players can do in the expansion, where you help out in the kitchen. There are a ton of details in the kitchen and the cafe right outside of it, and all this stuff right here. I love the menus here, and this one citizen just staring at it for the last 5 years trying to figure out what they want. And like any good tavern, you gotta have some spots for people to sit and eat, which of course, there are a ton of places to eat at scattered throughout this area. You could sit down here near the cafe, or come up here and eat near this aquarium, or you can come eat near this live band that is actually playing music you can listen to. I just love this place, and it is one of my favorite areas in all Guild Wars 2. And now for the number 1 spot. My favorite inn or tavern in all Guild Wars 2, it has to go to the Busted Flagon. This is definitely one of the most iconic locations in all Guild Wars 2. This inn is located in the western commons of Divinity's Reach, pretty close to the entrance of the city from Queensdale. The model of this building is pretty common, as we see this type of building all around various human settlements, but it is the first time we have seen it on this list. Where as you walk in, you got the beautiful fireplace, the bar, and a bunch of tables and chairs. Behind the bar, you have the kitchen and then a stairwell. Heading down will take you to the basement of the building, which this inn doesn't actually have one you can enter. But you can head up the stairwell here, or take the main stairs near the entrance to the building to head upstairs. Where heading up, you have a ton of different rooms with all the decorations you would want in a room. Beds, chairs, tables, food, candles, plants, and everything else. Some are big, some are small. There's really a lot of variety here. I love the style of inn in Guild Wars 2, and the Busted Flagon is no exception. It is a great, immersive environment with a ton of fun details, and is a place I love to just hang out in. But there's more. There are a couple of things about this place that make it even more special. Divinity's Reach is a huge place for roleplayers, as the Fountain of Rourke Inn is the biggest spot in the game where roleplayers congregate, and the city of Divinity's Reach houses a ton of cool locations for people to roleplay at, like the Ossan Quarter Tavern I mentioned earlier in this video, as well as the Busted Flagon here. Additionally, this fireplace here is a fireplace that I recorded in order to make my 10-hour-long ambient fireplace video that I made last December. It's just with everything combined with how important this spot is, how beautiful it is, and how immersive it is an obvious choice for the number 1 spot on this list. And that's my list. I hope you enjoyed. This video was super fun to make, as this is a super fun topic. I really love all the various buildings and small details spread throughout the world of Tyria. If you have any inns or taverns you think should have been on this list, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I also threw a few honorable mentions in the description as well. I am planning on making a top 10 clubs and bars list in the future, which will feature some locations that are kind of similar to Lee's. I hope you are taking good care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.